All right, so welcome to everybody. I'm Erin Plash. I'm one of the co-presidents here at Meadowbrook, the PTO. I have a 7th grader at North, and I have a 4th grader in Mrs. Bell's class.
And I'm Stacy Anderson. I am the other co-president, and I have 2 boys at Meadowbrook in 4th and 6th grade.
And last meeting, we kind of did away with the round robin introductions and just kind of, did we open it to
If
say
anybody would like to say hello and introduce yourselves to us, we would love to hear who you are.
Unmute yourself and say hello, or in the chat is fine too.
I can introduce myself mainly because I'm just double checking that we can't hear, or my daughter can't hear me upstairs. So my husband's upstairs just hearing and I don't want to be randomly talking. So my name is Mary Kornman. I am actually a future parent of Meadowbrook. My daughter is 15 months, but in the future she will be at Meadowbrook. But I am Meadowbrook's instructional coach. And I am here tonight to talk about PBL and inquiry. So excited to talk about that. And
we're glad you're here. Thank you.
I'm next. So is that the goal, that everyone introduces?
Just anybody who was interested. We don't require it or do a round robin, just anybody who's willing or interested.
Well, hi, good to see everyone. My name is Tiziana. I have a 6th grader, Paul, who's working out in the kitchen right now, and Jean, 3rd grader. They're saying hello, so.
Hi, guys.
So, and I'm co-chairing Run Meadowbrook Run. So that will be back in the spring of 2022. So yay. Looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. And I'll switch off my camera because we're going to start dinner, but we'll be listening.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, we'll get started then with our, Betsy, do you want to say something? Go ahead.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Betsy Anderson, and parent of a 2nd grader and a 3-year-old who has been home for the last 2 weeks from daycare quarantine. So yay! And I'm the secretary of the PTO and run the social media. So if you see anything on our Facebook, our Twitter, or our Instagram, yay, it's working. And I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the Odd Squad, Summer Hacks. Good to see you, Dan. Baby Audrey is less than a month old. There she is.
Perfect. And there's a number of people that are introducing themselves in the chat as well. So feel free to take a peek there and see a few more. Hi, Katie.
I wasn't going to say hi, but the babies on Zoom never get old. The babies and the pets, I just could do it all day. Thank you for sharing your baby. I'm Katie Marshall. I have a 4th grader, a 1st grader, and a future kindergartner.
Thanks for being
Katie.
here.
So we'll start with that was our introductions and our PTO needs. So there are a few things that we are looking for help with in the coming weeks, months, the rest of the year. One exciting thing is that Natalie has graciously offered to help run a student bingo event in school. So typically, for anybody new, we have a big community bingo event that we haven't been able to have for the last 2 years. So looking for unique ways to do it. So Natalie was thinking we could do it in school, over the intercom, she would do the bingo, but we're looking for somebody to help her plan that, organizing some prizes and getting cards. We have a lot of the supplies, but just somebody to kind of help with that.
A coordinator of sorts.
Yes. We have also gotten the okay to have some volunteers do recess running sticks. Not the best timing weather-wise, but if you're interested in doing some volunteering at school, that's a great way to see kids and, you know, be part of the community in that way. So look for, I do think at the end of Natalie's emails, there's a link to like indicate volunteer interest. That would be a good way to put in there that you're interested in recess running sticks. We confirmed with Brian Gerton that he's still willing to help coordinate that. We are also looking for some lost and found help. Another way to get into the school would be to volunteer to organize and clean out the lost and found. That is like a monthly commitment. Like they ask for a volunteer to take a month, and then you would go in like once a week to kind of sort and organize.
For about an hour.
Takes about an hour. We also have a lovely staff member who's willing to help us cart that. We're hoping to start carting it out to the front entrance once a week, every other week. So if we could coordinate timing with that to be like, you could organize it on one day and then they could cart it out to the front the next day so people can start looking through it and helping to diminish our large,
Overwhelming
Mhm.
amount of lost and found
I
items.
personally loved to volunteer in that job because I would find all my own things. And then we are also sort of looking for some future help. Oh, did I miss?
You did. So one more current help is that we need is we have a new role of volunteer appreciation. Jen Klein has graciously stepped up to help us with that this year. And this is just a simple way of thanking the people that we have currently volunteering. And we just need an extra person to work along with Jen. She's incredibly sweet, and I promise you'll like her if you don't know her. And just to give her a hand in thanking our volunteers. So if you're interested in any of those, please let us know. Again, Erin mentioned that it's in the bottom of Natalie's weekly email. Also, you can just shoot us an email directly at Meadowbrook Elementary PTO at gmail.com. Erin just put that in the chat in case anybody needs it. Future help that we need is as Natalie will be helping us announce in a minute here, 6th grade will be moving on. And with that, next year will be both mine and Erin's last year at Meadowbrook. With that, we will no longer be presidents. So we need somebody that is interested in stepping up next year in a VP role or president-elect, something along those lines to work with us to learn the role and be able to take over the year after. So also treasurer will be in the same position that our treasurer will be in their last year at Meadowbrook next year. So need somebody to step into that role. So if it's you or somebody that you think might fit well in that role, just want to get that conversation out there and rolling, that for PTO to continue, we're going to need some new fresh people to jump in. And
I think it definitely is helpful to do that in a year when there are still people in the role. So to be clear, Stacy and I will continue next year, but the idea would be that we would have, kidding. The idea would be that we would be like working together to help eliminate that major uptick in learning and just make it a smooth transition.
Yep.
Any other questions on the needs or the updates from us? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and move on to our fearless leader. Oh, Betsy updated our views. Oh, the September meeting had 25 views.
Ooh, 25.
It's pretty good. I promise it wasn't all me. Watching myself. All right, Natalie, can we turn it over to you to give us an update?
Yes, be happy to. So hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. I'm your principal, or your kid's principal, I'm your friend. Before talking about board recommendations, I did just want to talk a little bit about COVID and the current landscape that we are in. As probably you saw my last email, statewide, and we're experiencing an increase, and we're feeling it at Meadowbrook. We have a lot of students who are out on quarantine due to exposures, whether that's at school or whether in the community or from their family. Some kids are sick, and our heart goes out to everyone, and we hope that everyone is going to do okay. And then I just have to plead with any parent listening that please, please, please use the symptom checker every day with your child. And if they have any symptoms, please keep them home. That's the best way to keep our community safe at large. And if you have questions about, is this something I should keep my child home, or is this something I should consider being tested? Nurse Karen is so happy to consult with you. And speaking of Nurse Karen, if you have had notification that you have been in contact with someone with COVID, or you have gotten a positive result in your family or in your student, please communicate that information with Nurse Karen as soon as possible, because we then initiate our contact tracing. And she and I personally call every family who is identified as a positive or as a close contact. And we also email too, but we really need your help. I keep saying that really our community's health is determined by our collective decisions. And so we have to keep making decisions to keep our community healthy and safe. So thank you for all you're doing in that way. And we're going to get through it. I have a lot of hope for after winter break. Those of you who may be vaccinating your kids after winter break, most likely, they'll have those 14 days after the second dose, which means if they were identified as a close contact, they would not need to quarantine. So I'm thinking we'll see a lot of less kids needing to stay out of school. So thank you for all of that. And then Stacy and Aaron asked that I speak a little bit about the recent board recommendations, and take any questions. So like the high level overview of the recommendations would be that the board recommended that we change start times to move elementary start times earlier and secondary start times later. The time has not been determined yet, but it's estimated to be in the 8 o'clock hour, which would have then a release of like 2:30-ish for elementary students, and then a 9 o'clock start for secondary, and a 3 o'clock end time, I think is the idea. Another recommendation that the board moved on was to move 6th grade into the junior high for the 23-24 school year, and 9th grade to the high school that same year. So that is the second one. They're taking more time to make sure that there's time to learn what is going to need to be addressed to make that transition smooth. And certainly as elementary principals, we have some ideas for the middle school or the junior high that would help parents and students with a transition in that way. Another recommendation is to consider to study whether there is interest or feasibility to have one of the Hopkins elementary schools be a year-round school. And then that could possibly be an option for parents to kind of opt into that learning model. And another was to explore having one elementary school be an outdoor immersion school as well. I think those are the main recommendations. So I'm happy to answer questions. I know that like what I saw on the Facebook page is like there's strong feelings on both sides of a lot of those things. And I think that, you know, wherever you fall in that is okay, because we're going to, you know, help each other come to find that, because just the fact that you're here tonight shows that you're an engaged parent and you will support your child through whatever transition, whether it's an earlier start to their day or where they're doing their learning in 6th grade. You're going to be a huge supporter of them. So, and if I can't answer a question because I just don't know yet, I will make sure I can follow back up with you.
Thanks for being open to that, Natalie. So if you either could if you want to put your question in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute and ask. Now is the time to get some good information straight from the course.
Natalie, this is Kimberly Johnson, and I just want to confirm, because I know the survey that we got in October mentioned the 6th graders moving in the fall of 2023, but I thought I saw it to the contrary, and then that would be consistent with what Stacy and Aaron were saying, that that would happen in the fall. Oh, no, maybe I'm doing the math wrong. Am I doing the math wrong? I don't know. I just want to confirm the timing of both things. So let me just ask, Stacy and Aaron, would our boys end up doing 6th grade at Meadowbrook or not?
No.
No. So
No.
the
Okay.
time change will change next year.
Okay.
But the 6th grade moving in would be the following year.
So the current 4th graders would be the first year of 6th grade at the middle school. Or will
Okay.
they change it to a middle school? I assume they'll call it a middle school then instead of junior high.
Okay, got it. So that would be fall of 23. And then the start times would be effective immediately, or not immediately, but for next year, 2022.
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have
And
another
since
question.
nobody's talked, I'll just ask one, just out of curiosity. So how does that all factor in with the fact that Meadowbrook just had this big addition to accommodate more students, and now we're going to filter them back out? Just wondering if that was considered by the board, or what the status is of other buildings at the elementary level in space. So Natalie, I don't know if you have any insight there.
Yeah, so some of the elementary schools' capacity is a concern, especially when it comes to room for early childhood programs. So right now, not every elementary school can accommodate early childhood programs. And we know that early childhood programming is a really great way to like build future students, right? So build your enrollment base. So Meadowbrook, certainly, we do have room for our early childhood programs currently, and we have space at the present time due to additions and things like that. However, it's possible that, you know, for a lot of years up to this year, we've had a waiting list for incoming kindergartners. So it's possible that we might look at increasing then, you know, K-5 enrollment, or we might look at using space differently. Like when we consider multi-age classrooms, might they need a different type of learning setup, or might some of our project-based learning need more flexible areas or makerspace classrooms or things like that. So it's potentially an opportunity to do some innovative things with our building, if we will have space to do that, or it's a potential way to just look at enrollment a little different. So I see in the chat, Barry was asking about what would happen with kids and company hours. And I'm not certain yet. I know that there is a staff meeting between kids and company and some of the district leaders who are working on some of these studies to find out like feasibility and things. And they're trying to decide or determine what hours people need care. I know they've been studying the kids and company hours presently are 7 to 6. And they've been studying when do most kids come to kids and company, and to find out how early maybe care is needed. And so will there be more children allowed after school as the time period before school? Most likely more families will need after school care. And so I think as they consider staffing, that's something that is being studied with the Kids and Company program, if staffing models would be able to have more kids after school because there's a less of a need maybe in the morning. I think that's the assumption. I also think there's some things happening in the district that are exploring how do we do programs that we've had after school, maybe a little differently. So not last year, but the year prior, we ran a program called SMARTS, which was like an after school academic kind of support class. And might we be able to do something like that, but offer it more like the Summer Camp Royal, where kids can choose maybe a class or an interest that they have and have an after school class as an option, potentially with a activity bus running after hours. So I think there's a few different things being considered for like after school programming, not just Kids and Company as well.
I have a question. I want to just be sure, and I apologize if this is a dumb question. I'm not on the Facebook page, but I'm wondering what is continuing to be explored when you were talking, Natalie, about the decisions that the board made. So the year-round program, it sounds like the year-round program and the outdoor program are still being explored. So no final decisions or no changes there, but the start times and then the moving grades are final. And now the board and teams are planning on their making plans, discovering, working towards those decisions. Is that right?
Yes. And so that is my understanding. But what I also know, especially what I've learned like over the past 2 years with the pandemic, is that in a year and a half from now, that's a really long time. And there are things that could happen that change decisions, right? I don't know that anybody is thinking that it's a decision that can be changed, but I think as we do transportation studies to find out, can all elementary schools start at 8 o'clock? There might have to be changes to that plan. Or if they're, I don't know, I think that's probably the best example to what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
But I do think moving forward, those are the desired goals that the board has voted that they would like to pursue.
Okay, that's super helpful, but those could change depending on like the research that's been approved to go forward. Is that a good interpretation?
I don't know if I would use like research, but like mostly like feasibility or like cost, right? So if like one of the things they kept saying in the board meeting was that they were looking for efficiencies. So things that the transportation department is doing now that we could do differently to save us money, which would make some of the plans more feasible for our district financial health. And if they found out like, you know what, our transportation department is really efficient right now, there is no money to save, we would have to do this differently instead. That could, I think, alter some of the decisions.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Natalie, I have a follow-up question when it comes to the how Meadowbrook will be used with the additional space. So, you know, through our career here, we've heard that Meadowbrook will be a 5-section school and it won't be bigger than a 5-section school. So with talk of adding kindergarten classrooms and such, has that changed, or how will that look different at Meadowbrook moving forward?
So with the city, I don't know if it's an agreement or with our capacity, especially the understanding along like with the city of Golden Valley and with the district, is that our student body would not exceed like 890, or I don't remember the exact number, but 875 or something like this. And so without sixth grade, we still would be under that like capacity place. So 5-section school was what Dr. E.B. always said, but we already have made adjustments to that, bringing in our multi-age classes. We are not a quote unquote 5-section school. In a lot of our grades, we have 4.5 or 4 2/2. So already that's kind of, those lines are blurred a little.
Okay, so it's about capacity numbers, not class sections specifically.
Correct.
Perfect.
Capacity related to elementary students, not preschool students.
Correct.
Got it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Natalie, can I ask a quick question? You were talking about year-round school and one school devoted to outdoor learning. Is that ruling out outdoor learning at all the other elementaries then? Like we would never get a program because it would all be centralized at once? I'm just curious.
I don't know about other schools. I know that as I've talked about outdoor learning at Meadowbrook, we just find it incredibly hard given our location to have like a really authentic outdoor learning opportunity. We're much more likely to study like traffic patterns on the major highways or something. I don't know, but I do think perhaps there will be like one school that will have all of the outdoor programs. It's not like official or anything, but I know that right now Gatewood really has a strong environmental focus and their entire kindergarten is outdoor immersion. So I think that there's, they're on the path to perhaps becoming that place as it is now. And so Betsy, your question, Betsy's question as chat was about, would a year-round school potentially be Eisenhower? And I asked that exact same question, and the principal there said, not necessarily. And her thoughts were, because Eisenhower has 2 immersion programs, she is concerned about making her school be a year-round school, which forces immersion parents to go year-round when that might not be the decision that they want to make either. So I think it's still up in the air what school could be a year-round school. And I think looking at to see if there's like maybe differences in what our parent responses are, because we can break down survey responses by site. Maybe there is a site that's more in favor of that idea than others too. But I know when I heard some of the reasons why they would explore year-round school, I did think of Eisenhower, but I think that it's still an open idea.
Natalie, did we get Nikki G's comment right before mine? Do you see that in the chat? I don't know if we addressed that one.
I do see that now. So does a high school have capacity for an extra grade level? Yes, our high school used to be actually have a lot more students than what it does now. So there is capacity at high school. There potentially needs to be some like transition of how classes are set up within the high school for like which kind of classes. But I have been told that there is capacity to house 9th grade there. I think they're also looking at how can they create programs for some of our seniors that might get them out of like a classroom for more like intern experience or more field learning experiences, apprenticeships, that kind of thing, which also creates some space too.
And a follow-up question on some of the, decisions and whatever. I know at one point it seemed like they were looking at having the middle school model be 7th and 8th grade. I watch any of the school board meeting? Do we know what was discussed and how they came to the decision they did?
I don't think that was really part of the school board meeting because I watched that in its entirety. But I don't know about efficiency and if having 2 schools as large as they are only serve 2 grades of students would be feasible to the cost that it is to like have 2 buildings with only some pretty small like student body numbers. For example, I know West Junior High currently has less students than Meadowbrook Elementary. And if they lost a grade level, that would be considerable like decrease in their school size, which might then bring a question of, is it really worth having 2 junior high buildings? So I think that idea scares a lot of parents because where they plan to send their kids for junior high is part of their Hopkins vision. And so I think then looking at 6th grade to the middle school model kind of keeps those like pathways intact and schools running maybe more close to capacity. I know everyone is distracted by baby Audrey again. I could tell just by your faces that you were like drooling over her and not the comments I was making. So
I had a question about, and this may be unrelated, and feel free to tell me it doesn't matter, but I know that Isla moved to a different district, like area, city. How long are they considering that? Is Juntos going to continue at North then, or will that impact enrollment at all?
I hadn't heard that,
Oh.
that they moved. So that's, I know they've been looking though. I assume that Juntos will stay. So within Eisenhower and Alice Smith, there are Spanish immersion pathways. So in Eisenhower, I think it's K1, and at Alice Smith, I think it's just kindergarten. So eventually that Juntos program will still be
That makes sense. I forgot about
at North.
And I don't want to monopolize, but I'll ask one more question. I know you said the survey results can be broken down by building, and I know you mentioned on the Facebook page there's, you know, people in favor both ways. Do you happen to have the information about at Meadowbrook specifically the breakdown of what people think about these decisions?
Not readily available to me, but I would have access to them. So I'm not prepared for tonight in that way.
Okay. Yep. That's fine.
Any other questions for Ms. Sawatzky regarding anything really Meadowbrook related, but we were mostly focused on talking about the recent school board decisions. I would just follow up with one last question for you then, if somebody else can jump in if they have one, but I was curious about the 6th grade teachers and the impact that it will have for them in their teaching career maybe, or like how they're feeling about it, if there's anything that we can do to support them, or like just know, I don't know what my question really is, but I do think about them and wanting to make sure that they're feeling like taken care of and whatnot.
Yes, so I have not asked the question directly, but I know that they've also not come to me saying I'm freaking out. Like, so I feel like it's okay. Ultimately, you know, every year there's changes in grade levels. So if they're really thinking that they do not want to make that move. This coming year, they'll be able to see any open positions, and if there's another grade level they would like to teach in order to stay in the elementary setting. At Meadowbrook, a lot of all of our 6th grade teachers really teach from like a middle school model where they departmentalize and they really have strengths in an area and a passion for a certain content area. So in some ways, I wonder if they'll feel good about that. So we don't have to worry that anyone's going to lose a job either. So a 6th grade teacher can teach 6th grade anywhere. So they could teach them in an elementary school, in a middle school, in a junior high. So we don't have to worry about them losing a job too.
So will the class sizes stay similar to 6th grade? I know junior high, there's larger class sizes than there are in elementary. Do you have any idea on that? Will the middle school have lower class sizes like in elementary or closer to junior high?
Well, what I will say is this year's 6th grade has pretty close to the junior high class size already. So in our 6th grade, historically, that's when we've kind of looked at larger class sizes. But I don't have the exact answer. I think it depends on how we end up structuring like a quote unquote middle school model. So I was I was a middle school school counselor for my years before coming to Meadowbrook, and worked in 2 different middle schools, and we did things different between the 2 programs. And one was very much like we had 6th grade like houses, and basically our 6th graders didn't really interact with anyone except other 6th graders, and then a core team of teachers, which would be very similar to what our students are getting right now at Meadowbrook, where they have their own little wing and they have their core teachers and they rotate among them. And then at the other one, it was more of a junior high model where they changed among grade level teachers. And so both are just a little different. So I don't know if any of the planning about what that model will be yet is far enough along to say the answer to that question.
There were 2 questions in the chat. So Shanna's asking, what are the middle school and junior high class sizes typically? I was trying to look up, because doesn't the board have a limit, like a kind of a range of what it should be? I couldn't find it online.
I don't think the board has a policy any longer about class size.
Okay.
But I think that where like a ratio is established is within funding sources. And to be honest, I don't know what the typical middle school class size is. So
I can go pull my 7th grader if you'd like.
yeah, looks like Rahel says 28 to 30 students. So
That's what Tabarak said.
yeah.
Okay.
I trust Tabarak.
Yes.
And then the other question was, you mentioned a possible increase to early childhood. Has the increase of drop-off chaos been considered, not just typical chaos?
Yeah, and I don't know if that is at Meadowbrook, but I know in other buildings that will be a goal to increase or just simply provide an early childhood option where it's not able, like where they don't have capacity right now. But yes, we are always considering drop-off chaos. I, in fact, had a meeting with the city of Golden Valley today to talk about pickup and drop-off. So
I have another question. Are we still doing open questions for Ms.
Yeah.
Sawatzky?
Yep.
Okay. You're gonna wish I was asking about drop-off chaos. I'm just wondering I know you mentioned COVID kind of at the top, making sure kids are safe and screening them. It's on the top of my mind, just with cases going up and like these little ones so close to being doubly vaxxed. Some of them are having their second shots. Where I'm going with this is like, are there any like plans or considerations to start thinking about plans for what might happen if cases start to go up? Like, I feel like last year there was lots of visibility for us as parents to like planning and contingency planning and triple contingency planning. And I haven't heard anything about that this year. And I just don't want to assume it's because those conversations aren't happening. So I'm just curious to know, like, what are thoughts about the future? And if, you know, if cases were to spike or, you know, things were to start happening and we would need to react, are you and Nurse Jana or others like considering that?
So yes, so we're monitoring pretty closely, especially grade level numbers and classroom numbers, because when we look at how many cases might be in a classroom, it might make more sense to move a classroom to like a distance learning for a time period than it is to try to have, you know, let's say half the class out and half the class in. Or if we're seeing significant spread within a class or within a grade level. And when I looked at all the numbers from Monday, we have an equal distribution happening in like from K through 6. And so it's not from any one classroom, it's not from any one grade level, it's really speaking to like a widespread impact. But that's what we would look for first, like what is the smallest like cell of students that we might have to make a different plan for, whether that's one classroom or a grade level. To make a school-wide decision, I think would not necessarily be a Meadowbrook decision, but probably a county decision or a statewide decision. I think everyone has said that the priority is to keep as many kids in person as possible. So
I have a question sort of on the same line, and forgive me if this has already been communicated, but so as our kids get vaxxed, should we be like telling the nurse so you can like be like, how many kids are vaxxed, how many not, you know? Anyway, just curious.
yeah, so our nurse does have access to the Minnesota vaccination, whatever, can't think of, database, because there are certain vaccinations that are required for school entry. So students, yes, the MIC database, thanks, Anne. She has access to those, not staff, not adults, but she does have access to student vaccinations. So what we've come up with right now, like we are experiencing some 6th graders who maybe are older 6th graders be fully vaccinated. And when we've contacted them for being in close contact, their parents have been able to say, yep, my child's fully vaxxed. And we say, that's amazing. And if you don't mind, snap a picture of your card and send it to us. And we've just moved forward. So, but yeah, in general, I think, especially after winter break, we'll be able to kind of know overall percentage of where our school stands and where our district is in terms of numbers.
I just wanted to add on with Natalie that with quarantines and stuff, it is not a spread that's happening in the school. In so many numbers, it's, you know, when cases are happening, it's cases that are happening outside the schools. It's not kids going into quarantine and then ending up sick from school. So I just want to applaud the school, and with the COVID precautions that have been taken this year, that I'm impressed with the mask wearing and the social distancing, and, you know, teachers paying attention at all times who kids are sitting next to at lunch when they do have their masks off and everything. And I'm impressed with how things have been taken care of this year. So well done, Natalie and team. So with that, I think we're going to move on from our Q&A. I appreciate Natalie for taking all questions and giving us your knowledge, and for everybody being here and asking all of those questions. With that, we're going to move to Nicole to give us an update on teacher grants. And just a quick introduction to that, we have the PTO has a set amount of money set aside every year for our Meadowbrook staff to be able to, if they have a certain request that they want funded, they're able to put it in an application, and we vote on them as a PTO and decide who gets some money to put towards our amazing learners. And I think this gives teachers a chance to think outside the box a little bit and be creative in their ideas. So Nicole, are you available to give us a quick update on the grants that were approved?
I sure can. I will share my screen here real quick. All right, can you guys see that?
Yep.
All right, so we approved 6 grants in this first round. We did something a little bit different with grants this year with Meadowbrook PTO grants. Is historically we've kind of had one deadline, and this year we said we kind of vote on them as they come in throughout the year. So this is the first cycle. We have a budget of about $4,000, and we've currently handed out about half the budget in the first cycle. And so we will await additional grants requests coming in, and probably award some more grants. So there were 3 grants for 5th grade. One to Mr. K, Mr. Krizmarzik, Mr. Burmeister, and then to Brittany Bancroft. They each requested some software to help support some project-based work in their classrooms. There was also a grant for headphones in the 1st grade classrooms that they would be shared across all the classrooms to have some backup headphones, because they're using so much more technology in the classroom, so that in case a student forgot them that day or they're broken, they would all have access to headphones every day. And then the kindergarten and 1st graders are going to have access to a virtual classroom visit with an author, Todd Parr, who has written some books about feelings, and the kids are going to do a discussion about feelings, and it'll kick off a project where they're going to create their own books about their feelings. And then the kindergarten classrooms got a bunch of new just supplies to kind of help support some project and play-based learning experiences in the kindergarten classrooms. And those are good to be shared across all the students in kindergarten. And those are the 6 grants that we approved just before the Thanksgiving break.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nicole. So in these grants, there was a lot of project-based learning items that were requested and approved to the teachers, and that left us asking, what is project-based learning? And we realized that we don't know, and probably many of you don't know either. So we invited Mary Kornman, who, as she said, is the instructional coach at Meadowbrook, to teach us a little bit about what project-based learning is. So off to you, Mary.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, my name is Mary Kornman. I'm the instructional coach at Meadowbrook, and part of my role at Meadowbrook is to help teachers with project-based learning, or PBL is what I call it too. But I'm gonna quick share my screen, and I have a little slide action. So I've never actually shared my screen from a Zoom call. Ooh, so I hope I'm doing this right. Oh, system preferences. That can't be right. Well, you know, it might just be something different here. Oh, let's see. I'm really good at Google Meets.
It's just at the bottom of like the screen, it says share screen. So I think you're looking in your settings, but
yeah, I know. Oh gosh. And
it's participants chat, share screen.
I feel I feel a little now embarrassed about this. You cannot share screen while they're printing. Oh, Yeah, well, okay.
I was gonna try to show you how to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Share my screen.
I can, you know what, I'll just talk about it, and then what I would love to do is if I could send, you can look at my PowerPoint if it's possible to send it to Erin or Stacy, and then you can see that. So I apologize. I have so many wonderful images, and I'm a vivid storyteller, so I will tell you what they all look like. I won't do that. So again, my name is Mary Kornman. I have actually have a great picture of my family. Like I said earlier, I have a 15-month-old daughter, and my husband and I here, we live in Golden Valley, and I have been a teacher at Meadowbrook, and I've taught 2nd grade there, and I have 11 years of teaching experience. I have a master's in literacy education, and I'm actually a Hopkins alum. I went to Eisenhower, and I went to West, and then I went to the high school. So it's really exciting being in Hopkins. And so what is project-based learning? Project-based learning is a authentic way to have a project being done instead of it being the end product of learning. So a project is something where the students, it's more student choice, student voice, and they get to, sometimes from a topic the teacher gives, or sometimes from their own doing or choosing, they get to work on their learning through a project. For example, if you were to, if you wanted to Google pblworks.org, that's a great website to learn more about PBL. Also, John Spencer is a great resource too. And there's a video on his website about what is project-based learning and how he started it. And it is, the difference of it is that it brings in authentic problems, challenges that are actually related to students or related to around their community. And also bringing in experts to talk about what their job is, and then they can be helpers in the classroom so that the teacher doesn't have to be just the expert. Hi, Easton. So the teacher doesn't have to be just the expert. They can be a guide, and they can bring in other people to help the students learn. So the impact on students is that it engages the students. There's a deeper learning that happens. Again, it's exposure to adults and careers. So there is more just bringing in community that they may not have already brought in before. There's a sense of purpose to it. It's not just busy work. It's not, okay, we're going to do this project because we're doing it. It actually is a reason for it. It's part of challenge, you know, again, like I said, bringing up maybe a problem in the community, or it's bringing up something that the students find a passion or an interest for. And also there's creativity and problem solving that happens with it too. Another one that I love about the PBL is that it brings a lot of soft skills or 21st century skills that students may not have been exposed to before. So those are, you know, talking and making eye contact. They're speaking up loudly and clearly. It's interviewing people, it's asking questions, it's making sure you've looked through your work thoroughly and you're ready to present it to an audience and making it sure that's an authentic audience. Then I have this great image of what happens when students are engaged. It's pretty amazing. You'll have to see for yourself. I unfortunately also have this wonderful video of some 3rd grade students at Meadowbrook. Oh, someone's saying to share your screen. I have to go to system preferences, and I think I have to like update something, and I don't think it's gonna work. But I really do appreciate that everyone is helping. Yeah, it's like my computer issue. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so in 3rd grade right now, or just right before Thanksgiving break, Mr. Thorvaldson and Mrs. Kelly, they did a taco truck project-based learning. And so ideally, and this is kind of a little branch into it, ideally they would get more authentic and ask Shep Harris, the mayor of Golden Valley, to come and present and say, we need Golden Valley to have its own taco truck. like kind of fibbed a little bit and told the students that he sent a letter and it's fine. But they created taco trucks, and within that they had a budget of $1,000. And in the video, one of the students says, I thought $1,000 was a lot of money. And then I bought my truck, and they had to buy a truck, which was about ranging from $700 to $800. And she said, but after I bought my truck, I didn't have a lot of money left. And so I had to really be careful of all the ingredients I still had to buy. So really brought in a lot of math and budgeting for the students that they've never had to do before. They also had to create 4 different tacos and 4 different ingredients. But just the amount of engagement when I walked in there, every student was engaged. Every student was excited and happy to show me their work and work on their budget and look at all the ingredients. So I'm hoping to make some sort of a Good Morning Meadowbrook, so then that'll be on the YouTube page and you can watch that as well. And so the different elements of project-based learning, there is, like I mentioned, there's normally a challenging problem or a question. It's a driving question that the class brings together, and that can be from the curriculum, where they can read a story from the curriculum and then a question can come from it. And at Meadowbrook, we're really trying to spark more curiosity and bring up more wondering that is happening in the bring up more wondering in classrooms. In kindergarten, I know especially in Mrs. Muir's classroom, there's this wonderful wall where all of the students' pictures, and they're all like doing these kind of faces and then little bubble from them and their question on there. Again, another image that is amazing. And so now you can all see in your head. But that's even starting just in kindergarten, just what they're doing is they're sparking that interest and they're sparking that wondering. Part of PBL is also sustained inquiry. There's a lot of reflection that happens. It's not just at the end of the project, but reflection happens throughout. And again, helping the students get more project management skills of, okay, where, what do I want to accomplish today when I work? And then where do I want to be at next time? And how do I want to get there? And so that's something that also project-based learning helps too. There also is that critique and revision time where they can look at their project, they can go over it again, make sure it's ready to present to an authentic audience, because that authentic audience is going to ask them real life questions. So maybe some of you are wondering, okay, this sounds really amazing, but how does this work with standards? And ideally, the standards just fit right into it. For example, a 5th grade teacher, Miss Bancroft, she has taken her social studies and science standards and she's made them into themes. And then from there, she's added, it's just, she was doing Native American, different regions. And with that, the students were researching. So that is a literacy skill. The students were writing, which is another literacy skill, but expository text. And so they're already doing that, but in that they're doing the research. Now they're also adding in the social studies unit, or social studies standards, excuse me, and then adding in the presentation standards that the Minnesota State standards are a part of. So there's a lot of different standards that can be put into project-based learners. It's more the question of what do I want my students to learn? And then teachers can kind of just look at standards and go, well, yeah, they're gonna learn this, they're gonna do this, this, and this. So it really does fit well into it. In the whole school, and especially in primary, because primary, we want that to be sort of our foundation. Like I mentioned in kindergarten, they're really working on a growth mindset, because project-based learning is not something that is going to be easy. It's something that takes some time and takes some effort and grit. And so we have to teach our students that it's okay, you don't know how to do this yet. And it's okay that this was hard, because it's going to be hard and we have to take some time to research and learn. And you can't just go to one app and find the answers. No, you have to go to maybe several apps or several different websites to find the answers. So it's something that we're all working on, and that's kind of a PBL culture that we're starting at our school. So just to let you know kind of what's happening at Meadowbrook with each grade. In 6th grade, they did a Wonder Week where The students, this was kind of more of their choosing. The students got to pick something that they're wondering, and then they researched it. They presented them to their classes. Another thing that they did was they just created, with their science project, they just created wanted posters of different elements and had to explain like how to identify, how to find that element in a wanted poster. And so they had to include the different, let's see if I can, it's been a while since I've taken science, 6th grade. So they had to find, like the different, like how many neurons and, oh boy, it's so tiny, I can't read it though. But again, the images are wonderful. But in 6th grade, also their plan is to work on designing the new courtyard where 6th grade is located. There's a courtyard, and it everything was just kind of cleaned up because that was the old stepping stone area. So their plan is to, after some time in math, design and figure out what that courtyard would look like. To make it truly project-based learning, they would actually present it to landscape, whoever's doing that at Meadowbrook, and they would pick their plan, or at least they would hear their plan, and the students would be ready to present it. In 5th grade, I mentioned that they're doing some thematic units. I know just Nicole just showed a bunch of project-based learning that's happening in 5th grade, and I was helping Miss Bancroft with hers, and she's going to be doing the Save the Penguin project, where it's teaching about heat conservation, energy, and also why it's important to save penguins. And we were just talking about it this morning, and bringing in authentic scientists from the website Skype a Scientist. So
I can play again, but
that's very exciting, happening hopefully in February for her. And then also they do a project called Pine River Valley, and it's more of a government city simulation. And again, I have some works. I'm gonna do my magic hopefully and bring Mayor Shep Harrison and also a Hopkins alum who is a city manager of Hopkins. In 4th grade, they're doing a thing called Car Factory and State in a Bag. I say bag because we're hoping to get away from everything being in a bag, and the students get to present. It's kind of their choice, how they're going to present learning about the state. I mentioned 3rd grade doing a taco truck, and they're going to go in further into something else with maybe starting a business. 2nd grade was doing some inquiry-based learning in plants and really hands-on with the plants unit that they just did or just finished up before break. 1st grade is doing the student global mindedness. I know 1st grade teachers just got a letter maybe a week ago about collecting coins, but that sounds amazing, and I feel like the music is playing at the Oscars right now, and I should be finishing up soon. Okay, I'm feeling
No, I'm reminiscing about a culture box and remembering.
Yes, okay. And then in kindergarten, they are also working on just again their wonders and their questions, building that foundation of inquiry. I know that also Katie Duffy is going to do some more play-based inquiry and play-based project. And also one of our guidance counselors, Julie DeGroot, just worked on some social emotional learning, social justice PBL projects with her 4th and 5th and 6th graders in the last rotation of our specials. And she said she's doing that the rest of this time. So it's really exciting how everyone is starting new things or using what they've already done and just changing a little bit or tweaking a little bit so it's more authentic and it's more engaging for the students. Now, if you're curious about how you can become more curious in your own home life, there are some really great podcasts that I would suggest listening to yourself or with your children. There's one podcast called But Why? And it's a podcast about like made from children's questions. And the episodes are about 15 to 20 minutes long. There was one question that was like, why do squirrels climb trees? And it's just those kind of little questions that just get our brains thinking. you know, just like those little things, and makes you just think about like the rest of the world, like, well, yeah, why is it like that? Or why does that happen? There's another podcast called Everything Under the Sun. And that's another one that would be great for kids too. Now for adults, there is a John Spencer podcast called The Creative Classroom, and another PBL man named AJ Giuliani called Inside Innovation. And again, on my PowerPoint or my Google slide, it's all right there with beautiful pictures. And so you'll see it when you see it. And then I've also started a Meadowbrook Community Expert Google Doc. So I know I think I did send it to the Meadowbrook PTO email or put it out into that world. So if you are interested in ever wanting to come in or Google Meet into a classroom, I would love to know that, or I would love for you to add your name and like what you can share, or anything that I said tonight that you're like, oh, I would totally love to share that because I do that for a living, or my neighbor or my uncle, whatever. So I'd be happy, that's in the PowerPoint, but also happy to share that another time or another place as well. Okay, so I'm all done. I hope that was informative. I really apologize about my my technology. I should have fixed or done that before. So
I just feel bad that you created this whole beautiful presentation and we didn't see it. So send it to us, send it to Betsy.
Okay.
And we'll
Yeah, or you could even, if it's a Google, is it a Google one? Can you just even share the link in the chat once?
Yeah.
As we're finishing up.
She's so smart.
That's what I can totally do that. I will do that in a moment so that I'm not taking up your time, because technology is, I really am good with technology, but I also don't want to take, if people have questions, I can just really quick do that.
Yeah, we'll take a couple minutes if there's any questions, but I know we're running long on our time. We try to keep our meetings an hour, but if anybody has a quick question for Mary, now would be a great time to ask. All right, well, I think you did a great job explaining, and I'm really excited to see the presentation.
Thanks. I'm glad Miss Ghana likes the but why, by the way. I just read the chat. Well, if you have any questions for me, my email is on the Google slide that I'll send out real quick, and also my office number. But I'm really excited about it, and really excited what Meadowbrook is starting to do.
Yes, thank you for leading the charge and being there for all the teachers. I know that's super helpful in moving stuff forward. So we'll just wrap up with a few things like updates on how, like what we're having upcoming. Angela, do you want to tell us a tiny bit about the book fair? We're really excited about our new format.
Yes, I will share.
Ooh, she knows how to work Zoom.
I made just a quick slide. So I'm Angela Higgins. I've got two kids at Meadowbrook, Lark's in kindergarten and Lincoln's in 4th grade. And so Anne's on the call. Anne Gural and I have been doing the book fair for a couple of years. Last year it was on hiatus, of course. And traditionally, at least since I've been doing part of the book fair, it's been at Barnes & Noble. And we just thought, you know, now's a really good time to kind of change it up. So we reached out to Cream and Amber in Hopkins. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's just an awesome locally owned bookstore, partially owned by Hopkins graduate. There's 2 women that own it together, and one of them is a Hopkins graduate, which I thought was kind of fun. And so we just reached out and said, hey, have you ever done anything, you know, any kind of partnership with a nonprofit or a school? And they hadn't. They've only been in business a couple of years, I think. So we're partnering with them. So our book fair will be February 7th. It's a Monday from 4 to 8. So it will be a private shopping event just for Meadowbrooks. They're not open on Mondays typically. So we can go and shop. Kids are welcome. They've agreed to donate 10% of sales to the PTO. They've got books, games, and they have new and used books too, which is nice. We're gonna put together some teacher wish lists. Probably online. They have some ways we can build wish lists online so people can see what. And I think we're gonna, instead of going to each teacher and asking for their wish list, we might just have grade lists like, hey, 4th grade teachers like these books and 3rd grade like these, just because some teachers give book titles, some don't, and we're like, hey, I mean, most third grade teachers probably are okay with, the same kind of set of books for their classrooms. So we will have that in February 7th, but starting now until the event, Cream and Amber has agreed to donate 10% of all purchases made online. If you use that Meadowbrook code, you shop online, put in the code, and 10% will go to the PTO from now until that event. So like if you're doing holiday shopping, I ordered a couple books. You can ship, of course, or you can just do free pick up in the store, all that fun stuff. So, and think about teacher gifts for the holidays. Like what a perfect place to get some teacher gifts. The 10% does not apply to gift cards. I already asked. But, if you were eyeing up something for teachers for the holidays, maybe think about ordering it online and using that code. So yeah, we're just excited to support. I mean, Barnes & Noble was good-ish, but we are excited to support a local business and create a little community and, do something a little different this year. So if there's any questions, let us know.
Thanks, Angela. We're super excited.
Thank you so much,
Yay.
Angela and Leon, for all of your work.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
It is really cute. They have a coffee shop and little snacks and stuff. We went there once this summer.
So just real quick, also our book swap, which is different than our book fair. I just want to mention while we have all of you that book swap will be happening this year. We don't have details on when it's happening yet. We're working on that, but just want you to know it's in the works. And what's great about book swap is we donate books that we have in our homes that are no longer being loved, and then at school they're organized, and then each student is allowed to come down and pick out the books that they like at no cost. So everybody gets some new books in their home, and it's really a great opportunity for the school. And I'm so excited to announce that it is back this year, and details will come.
What else? We have a restaurant night coming up, Devani's in Golden Valley on the 15th of December. I asked Beth for a quick update. She thought we were hovering around $6 to $6.50 in amount of money earned from our restaurant nights so far. So that's awesome. Golden Valley Devani's has always been a really popular one. So hopefully everybody can get some pizza. We are also having Art Adventure coming up again. That was on hold last year. We are working on getting all the volunteers trained. We have more volunteers than we've ever had, which is awesome. Jen, are you still on the call? Do you want to say anything else about Art Adventure?
I know we're kind of throwing it at you last minute here.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be quick. We're just really excited, and we thought it was going to be a virtual experience, but like almost all the teachers have opted in for in person. So we're working with Natalie and the district to make sure that parents can enter the classroom safely, and we all have an idea what we're doing. And we're just really excited to get the online training going pretty soon, and it'll be January, February, March. So yeah.
So thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
The only last thing I would mention, we kind of have a few more things, but the last thing I would mention is that, was it in November? There was an event that Natalie held for our, and Mrs. Peckenham for our equity and inclusion group. They had a parent circle, kind of twofold, to talk about parent relations and how things are going with the PTO in regards to parent interactions, but that was an opportunity for people to learn more about the circle process. So we had a small gathering of people that I thought it was, but from what I heard, I didn't attend, but it was really impactful and super eye-opening for a lot of people. And we really want to continue in that. I'm losing words. It's really late past my bedtime. In that way. So we're hopeful that we can get more attendance at the next one. I feel like Natalie said something like, if everybody who went brought one person with them, right? Like we could just expand our circle. So look for that. We haven't scheduled it, but it will be coming.
That will be coming soon. We really would like to get another one on the schedule before our winter break coming up. And we'll see if we can make that work and get some attendance. So really a great place just to open up conversation and make some new relationships, some new connections within our school at a parent level. Very important conversation to have. So just want you all to know that that is out there as well, and hope to see some of your faces there as well.
Last but not least.
Last but not least, our next meeting, we had scheduled for February 1st, and we have moved that due to a couple conflicts, Chinese New Year.
And the caucuses.
Yes.
Something
Political. So we moved that to Thursday, February 3rd instead. So we will update our announcements on that as well. But hopefully we see you all there. So thank you all for coming tonight. It was lovely to see all your faces. I appreciate everybody speaking up and jumping in. Thanks for your help.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night, ladies.
Thanks.